Hello, kia ora, g'day. I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your 7-day Australia-only forecast. Let's get into the rainfall because we do have some thunderstorms at the moment north of the country or the northern parts of the country, but we are seeing high pressure expand again, and that's not great news if you live in South Australia and Victoria and still desperately need rain. But we do have some rain relief in the southwest of Western Australia, and we do have a few showers tracking through coastal parts of Victoria. So we'll explain that for you in a moment. The high pressure zone that's expanding in the south, though, is ballooning out into central Australia, and that's helping nudge the rain northwards. And you're going to see over the next week that the monsoon rains get pushed further and further northwards to the point that they basically end up in Papua New Guinea and Indonesia a week from now. So let's try and explain all of that for you. Here is the high pressure belt to the south, the next big high coming in from the Indian Ocean. That's connecting up and is going to expand around southern areas. But before it does, you've got a southerly flow, and that's coming into South Australia, Victoria, parts of Tasmania. That southerly goes all the way up into tropical areas, but it does fade out. And that northeastern side, not yet affected by it, you've still got that lower pressure zone, and that's producing the showers and the thunderstorms. But temperatures will be down in some areas as a result of that southerly flow. And with the longer nights at the moment, when you wake up in the morning, inland areas certainly will be cooler because of it. Here's how we look on Friday. So Tasmania into autumn properly now. Changeable weather coming through for you over the next few days, maybe some severe weather in there. Winds will ramp up from the west to northwest as we go through Friday. There's the cold front coming in later on. Southerly winds carry on for South Australia and Victoria. They fade out once you go inland. Over in Western Australia though, small area of low pressure off the coast there, or sort of on the coast north of Perth. Between the low and the nearby powerful high, you've got a squash zone where all the isobars get squeezed up. That's what you're seeing right here. Now that's going to produce some good rainfall. That's the good news. The bad news is the winds could be pretty strong. They could be gale force, maybe even damaging for a time as that pushes through. So that's just something to be aware of as we go through the next 24 hours. Keep up to date with the Bureau. We've also got those thunderstorms, severe potentially around Queensland. But like I say, the further you go down that coastline, the drier it gets under more of that high pressure. Bit of a high pressure zone actually here, very small one, but pushing out from the New South Wales coast and basically sitting over Lord Howe Island. All right, let's go into the weekend. Those thunderstorms are still around Queensland, some of those severe, but pushing northwards because of the new high pressure belt around South Australia. So that expands out and that pushes those showers further into the north. Most of the coastal areas, the more populated places, not seeing quite as much rainfall, but some of those central Queensland towns could be seeing some big thunderstorms and downpours as we go through the next few days. Further down, Victoria, coastal showers along the south, and Tasmania, windy westerlies blowing through. Some of those showers could be a bit squally in the western side. And the low around Western Australia weakens to some degree on Saturday. The winds won't be as strong, but you do still see some wet weather and maybe a few other showers further inland through central areas. On Sunday, that low weakens further in Western Australia. The showers fall apart a lot more, and those winds certainly do fall apart. Thunderstorms, most of the severe ones are in the top end and around Katherine of Northern Territory. Queensland not seeing so much in the way of wet weather. Most of the pale blue there, the very bottom of the scale, a few millimetres coming through. The green areas and maybe this spot too seeing some heavier falls. But look at all the dry weather. Westerlies blowing around Sydney, west to south westerlies for Canberra, and then you come down towards Melbourne and everyone in between getting sort of a west to south westerly flow. Tasmania though, in comes your next autumn cold front, another burst of strong winds and then squally showers off the southern ocean for the west coast and the less populated southern coastline. Now next week, back to high pressure. So that's bulldozing itself back into South Australia and Victoria. You do see showers here, but it's not a huge amount. If you're lucky enough to get a heavier fall, maybe east of Melbourne, you might get that. But otherwise, not a lot of rain. Most of it's on the west coast of Tassie, and the pale blue really isn't much of anything. It might be a bit of drizzle or a few spits. Western Australia's still got some showers. Rainfall totals aren't huge there, and severe thunderstorms mostly around the top end and the Kimberley regions. Through into next week, high pressure now firmly in control of the southeast, and it's quite strong high pressure. It expands all the way up into the tropics, so that's why the rain, the monsoon rain, is being nudged out to sea. And so it is getting drier in the tropics, although around the Kimberley, you've still got thunderstorms, and most of the showers here, very far north of Queensland, are getting those, and the showers in the southwest of Western Australia, they're also falling apart. And on Wednesday, that's possibly the driest day of all, as high pressure pretty much dominates. Big high in the Tasman, stretching back out into land. The next big high in the Indian Ocean, also stretching out into parts of Western Australia. So not a lot of energy, but it is worth pointing out that things aren't over yet in the tropics. Just because it is going northwards over the next week doesn't mean it's going to stay there. We are seeing some indications that the following week after next week, we might be seeing more low pressure around the Coral Sea and the Solomon Sea, and then further out to the northwest of Australia. Those are the two zones where tropical lows are still very likely, and we may still get a tropical cyclone forming. So we're not done with the tropics, but the high pressure zone is pretty solid coming through the south. There's no real change in that other than what you've just seen. And the Southern Ocean, also very stormy, as it should be for this time of the year. Autumn's windy gale force weather, mostly south of Australia, but it is brushing Tasmania, Bass Strait, and also over towards the New Zealand area. Here is the 7-day rainfall. So you can clearly see those thunderstorms from the Northern Territory into Queensland in that line, but the rainfall totals aren't necessarily overly big. Most places are seeing less than 50 millimetres, some of you 50 to 100, and a few showers maybe in the Northern Territory will go above that. Also seeing some good rainfall in the southwest of Western Australia, talking about 20 to 40 millimetres there, and some locations might go higher, and similar rainfall for the west coast of Tasmania, but not much for South Australia, not much for Victoria, and not much for the more populated parts of Tasmania due to the hills and ranges blocking most of that flow. All right, before I go, the place of the day on Flight Sim, Mareeba in Queensland. I've been there with my parents. Beautiful spot inland from Cairns. Population 8,500 or more. Annual rainfall just below 1 metre, 915 millimetres for you. Temperatures fairly steady, 28 to 31. Overnight lows, they're kind of mild for this time of the year still, as you should be getting. I guess for this time of the year, it's not exactly into the big southerly parts that can come up to you yet. And rainfall, best chance of it is today. Those thunderstorms are around, and you got some chances Saturday to Tuesday of more of those showers. And that's all from me. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll catch you again on Monday.